Hey everybody, this is Ferg from the Atari 2600 Game by Game podcast, and you are listening to Soul Blazer on the SNES podcast, right here on the Retro Junkies Network. And Greg, by the way, I'm sure nobody has picked Zelda yet to do with you, so I'll take it.
$200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king!
Only for Super NES. You're listening to the SNES podcast with your hosts, Soul Blazer and George.
Hello everybody, welcome to Super NES Podcast, episode number 85 coming at you today. I am Greg, joined by my favorite co-host, George.
Roar, I'm an ogre. Roar. That's what they sound like, right?
Good enough.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, these ogres don't mess around either because
they like to battle, I heard.
Yes, and they're very hard to battle too, which is very fitting like this game because this game is tough.
Yes, it is.
We are covering today the first game of a kind of long-running franchise. I mean, better than some, I suppose, but we're covering the relatively obscure but quite ahead of its time, I think. Ogre Battle: The March of the Black Queen, which was developed by Quest and came out for the Super NES in Japan in 1993 and for North America in 1995. The Japanese name of the game, which I will attempt to pronounce here without totally butchering it, is Nitsu no Ogre Battle. Would translate roughly to legendary ogre battle.
So that sounds cooler.
It does. I mean, like I was going to talk about this later on, but the titles that the titles that they give these games in North America is like totally off the wall, just bonkers, makes no sense. So
yeah.
I don't know, but
does anybody know?
Probably not. I mean, it's just it's very forgettable. I mean, it's appropriate when you think about it. Once you get to the game story, you're like, okay, I can understand why I play this title, but
yeah,
but it does not roll off the tongue very easily. So, this is usually just called Ogre Battle. I'm just referred to as Ogre Battle to keep my sanity as we talk about this game.
Do you have any of that left?
So. A little bit. Okay.
All right. Good to know.
This franchise has also been known as Tactics Ogre over the years. To add more confusion about these games. So, but this is the first of five official games in the franchise. There's also been a number of spin-offs and whatnot over the years. So usually published by Enix. Some of the in-between titles were published by Atlas. The PlayStation version, the PlayStation remake of this game, for example, was published by Atlas. But obviously the franchise is now held by Square Enix because Square Enix merged quite a while ago. This game was George's pick. I played the PlayStation remake of this game a little bit back when it first came out, but I never had touched the Super NES version of this game before. George, did you say that you never had played this version of the game either?
Yeah, I was really interested in playing it, so.
Okay.
That's,
Do you have any-
I guess a
do you have
default choice for me. I don't know.
Do you have any? So do you have any experience with the PS, the PS remake?
No.
Okay, but this game got released on a number of platform systems like over the years. Like I said, it originally came out in Japan in March 1993. It didn't look like this game was going to come out in North America for the longest time because this game did not get a U.S. release until May of 1995, over 2
Pretty
years
late.
later. Yeah, well, I mean, like not super late in the library. There were still a number of games that came out after this game, but
Let me put this in context for you. The PlayStation was already out.
in Japan, not for like North America yet.
What
but
month did it come out in North America?
May 1995.
No, I mean the PlayStation.
Oh, you should have asked me that when I had the other page up. We were talking PlayStation stuff like off mic earlier, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But if you want to look it up like we talk, that's cool. But anyway,
You know me.
There were a number of Super NES games that came out after this game. I think Earthbound came out after this game. Super Mario RPG definitely did, and there were a number of other games too. So yeah, I'd call it a late generation game, but not like the absolute last wave of games. But there were a number of reasons which we'll talk about later on why this game didn't come out until so much later and whatnot. So, but the game got remade for both Saturn and PlayStation in 1996. The Saturn version only came out in Japan only.
Speaking of PlayStation, yes, it was out in Japan. That's obvious. North America got it September 9th, 95.
Okay.
So a little before we got it. Okay.
And this game also has gotten re-released on the Virtual Console services, Wii U and 3DS. So this is a strategy tactics game. Pretty unique for the time period when it came out, because there really had not been too many games like this available on consoles. This was a genre that was more strongly represented on computers. Like for example, the early '90s saw the very successful XCOM and the Jagged Alliance series for PC, which we usually went to if you wanted to play games like this.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up XCOM.
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know. Somebody told me that on PlayStation Power they were going to be covering that.
Yes, that's going to be our next game. Our next game on that podcast, looking at PlayStation port, which I've never played played before either. So I'm curious. But
yeah, I haven't played the port. I want to see that.
So this is a game that would really be more suited for computers of this time period. For this game to come out on a console in 1995 was pretty unique. I think this was the very first serious, really in-depth strategy tactical game to come out on a console, at least in North America.
Even today, not a lot of strategy games come out on console. There is a bit more.
Right.
But yeah, handhelds see a decent amount of them too.
The handhelds seem to be the preferred platform for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't find them. There are a number of console games like this. Working Designs, for example, put a whole bunch of games out that kind of fall that you kind of fit in this category. And again, XCOM, the modern XCOM games are available on consoles too. So you're right, they are out there, but they're still more common in computers.
Yeah.
So this game was very ahead of its time, I think, for when it came out, and it's a very interesting game. If you played any kind of real time tactical game, this game plays pretty similar to those games, I think. You have your map screen, the world map screen where you move around the world map, go to different locations, get into battles. When you get into a combat,
Ogre battles.
Yep. and other things too, like dragons, humans, golems, What else is in here? Wervins, other kinds of stuff like that. A lot of D&D / fantasy typical games. So, and so when you go into combat, it zooms into a combat screen, where your units are on one side of the screen, the enemy sides are on the other, and you move a certain amount of spaces and you do your attacks and that kind of stuff. Pretty typical stuff. While we're talking about it though, the battle screen looks gorgeous. I love this battle screen animation because it has the because the camera's kind of at a little. It's strange, slightly above 45-degree angle, but I think it works there very well. And there's a lot of detail like on the sprites.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like it changes depending on where you are too. So
right,
you could be standing on grass and that looks nice, and then on top of that, there's a background to it, which changes too.
Gorgeous. My favorite one is the one that has the book open behind the battle screen, like
that's
the
pretty good
behind it.
Yeah,
it really gives the game a whole kind of a very fantasy / strategy feel. We actually feel like that you're a commander. I also got like a tabletop vibe from this because how the sprites look, and because because the background and everything.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Now that you say that, that's really interesting. The only thing that's missing is the base thing under the units for action figure type of things, the representation of units and stuff.
Yes.
That's the only thing that's missing. If they added that, or you hacked the game and put it in there, you could definitely say that this is kind of like a tabletop game.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yep, and the combat interface is pretty simple. You just have you have your units and their health on one side of the screen in a box, and they're the enemy units and their health on another box. They show the health in both terms of numbers and also a gauge. So it's your choice is which one you look at. I found the numbers easy to read myself personally. But,
well, obviously you want the numbers because you can tell how close they are to dying.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's then there's you pick your actions. You pick your actions on the combat menu. The numbers and words are very. How do I put this? The font they use is very Super NES. It looks very typical of Super NES games.
This is a font you would use in an SNES strategy game.
You've seen this font in numerous other games too.
Yes.
So, yep. So. It's not a great font, but it's readable. It's fine. So
yeah, it's not something you would see on PC where maybe it's all in some kind of cursive and it looks like it's handwritten or something. No, it's. I don't want to say it's bland, but I don't know. I prefer readability over art style. So.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, but. Yeah, so this game. So let's talk a little bit about the history first. This game was developed, like I said, by a Japanese company called Square. Square would get the rights to it eventually. Quest is the name. They said the company, Quest Corporation. Let's think about their full name. 1988, like when they were founded. They are best known for this series, but they did publish. So they did publish a number of other games. You may have gotten this vibe also playing this game, George, but shortly after this game came out, it came out in 1995. Some key members of Quest went over to Square, where they worked on Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story. So it's you definitely could tell the influence, I think, playing this game now, in those games.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that. Now that I play this, I'm oh yeah, this definitely does have Final Fantasy Tactics vibes to it. So
it does. It's totally different though, but
oh yeah,
no, definitely the way, kind of the way it feels. Yes.
The story, the combat system, the music, the graphics, they all definitely have Final Fantasy Tactics / Vagrant Story feel to them. So,
you know what, the art style kind of gives me that vibe, how the characters are like created and everything.
Right. And so the relationship eventually became so good between Quest and Square because the fact that these Quest people defected over to Square, that's Square bought Square bought Quest in 2002 and merged them into their company. So the reunited Quest staff continued to work on worked on the Final Fantasy Tactics sequels that came up with the GBA. The team also worked for the worked on some of the remakes of some of the games later on too. So, but they this is the first game in the franchise, like I said, and most strategy tactics games are known for having a very deep story, and this game is no exception. There's a very it's very detailed involved story like this game. The too long didn't read version of it just basically the game takes place 25 years after powerful empire. I believe it's pronounced the Zategian Empire.
Don't ask me, man.
I'd have to it's too bad the PlayStation version of this game didn't have voices. The Saturn version in Japan did, but when they remade the game for PlayStation later on, they do the voices out. So I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But anyway,
it's not necessary to have voices for this game.
No. So anyway, they conquered your kingdom 20. So they conquered your kingdom 25 years ago, and you were leading a revolution against them. Because the empire has gone more evil and more corrupt now, because of the use of the black magic by the mage. Seven Mage Rashadi. So
yeah, it's a typical story. Empire bad. They're doing bad things. They are bad people. There is a rebellion. You fight against them. What's up?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I agree with 100%, but there are some interesting twisted story later on too. So
the Empire is actually the good guys,
and there's a crap ton of endings to this game. There are no less than 13 endings to this game.
Oh, jeez.
So, and the best endings are very hard to get.
What is this, Nier?
So yeah, between the story and the gameplay and the multiple endings, this game was really ahead of its time, I think. And, not only because of the fact it was available on console, but also because of the fact that of how deep the story is, some of the characters involved and whatnot. And the game also makes heavy use of tarot cards. So
yes.
That's another cool aspect to the game. So
I wish they told me what they did because I had to blindly use them.
Yeah, that's one of the problems.
I think the tutorial might have told you, but it's after that, it's you have to look in the manual.
Yeah, the manual does go into detail. The manual does go into detail about that. But there's total 22 Arcana cards altogether. Which can be used. And there's also character creation in a sense, because the game starts like the Siege of War, and you use those tarot cards to ask you a series of questions, a la Ultima 6. How to determine your alignment, which is pretty cool.
That's a good pullback.
Yeah, it is.
The first thing I thought was Ultima. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultima 6? Are you sure it was not 4?
It may have been earlier. I know 6 had it.
I think it was Ultima 4.
Okay. You're probably right. 5 and 6 also used it also, but I think 4 is the first game to have now that you mention it. But yeah, and again, alignment was pretty rare to be picked, but to be done in these days because you mostly just played a good played a good guy and that was it. So, you can be a there's three main there's three major alignments, like like righteous, neutral, and evil, and you could be an evil character in this game if you want to be, which is pretty cool.
Yes, Ultima 4 had the tarot cards.
Okay, thank you. And there are evil endings to this game too. So the game definitely encourages the game definitely encourages replay value.
So you can join the Empire or something? I never understood some of those games that do that, where it's like, yeah, you're the rebels, you're being bad. Oh, you know what? You could just change and you can jump ship. You can join the bad guys. And it's like, why make that a choice? Why even fight in the first place then?
Yeah, I did not look at the endings online. All the endings of the game are available on YouTube, by the way, if you want to look them up. Just based upon some of these names, there definitely are endings like that. Because one ending is called the Emperor ending, one ending is called the Empress ending, one ending is called the the World ending. So definitely does sound like you can't take over the Empire. They have to do one of the key factors that determines what ending you get is your reputation meter, which is pretty close to your alignment in this game. So it's like is it empty? You get this ending. Is it half full? You get in this ending. So et cetera, et cetera. So. But a lot of cool features and features and ideas come together in this game. None of it works great, but for a game of this time period to have all this stuff in it is pretty damn impressive.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a very cool thing to see in this on this platform.
Right. The graphics of this game are pretty good, I think. I mean, they're not the best Super NES graphics, but they do. They do look very good. We already praised the battle graphics, like how good, detailed that they are. The world map looks pretty good. You kind of have that strange.
You zoom out to that Mode 7.
I don't think it's full Mode 7, but it does seem like it's using that Mode 7 feature.
It is
for sure. So because
it definitely is. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it's zoomed out. It's a little bit hard to see things sometimes, but
I feel like zooming out the map is more of a gimmick than it is helpful, because you kind of got to move the map around to see the stuff that is represented at the top, because it's like it's zoomed out way too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were trying to show, they're trying to show how big and immersive the world is, because it's like, because it's a pretty big world. So I mean, the really only option they could do is have a zoomed out perspective, to show that. So what's even weirder about this, the weirder about the world map. I'm sorry. It's not just the world map, but it's like it uses a very strange resolution. You get used to it, but there's not really any kind of detail in the world map itself because of that angle. I mean, you can see stuff, you can recognize what it is, but nothing really looks as sharp and pretty in this game as it would for a game, for example, ActRaiser or Zelda or whatnot. So it's just kind of a just kind of compromise for the resolution, I think. So, oh well.
I guess I don't know. I haven't really noticed that.
Yeah, but the battle graphics are gorgeous. There's great detail on the sprites, wonderful background effects, whatnot. So definitely A+ that screen. So. The music of this game is pretty good too. I thought some very appropriate fitting very heroic sounding deep orchestral based soundtrack to this game very good soundtrack.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sound effects are nothing really typical average stuff. Nothing great, nothing, but it's there. So
yeah, that was the main focus in this game.
Sure.
Definitely how the game plays and all that stuff was more important, and it really shows. And honestly, it really is. Like, when you make this type of game, you can't make the appearance and the sound the best thing. You gotta put all the, number crunching and everything in front of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could tell right away that the emphasis of the game time development was spent on the story and the story in the battle system.
Oh yeah.
Speaking about that, what do you think about the battle system? Did you like it, overall, or did it work for you?
It's not fully straightforward, but when you figure it out, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is kind of clunky by today's standards, but again,
I like how there's a tutorial built in this game, and yet it does not tell you every single little thing. But I mean, it gives you kind of that exploration type of thing, so I guess that's good. So the battle system's interesting. So first off, how to get into a battle, you have to be close enough to your opponent, and then you get into the battle screen. What happens is the battle just goes right away if you don't touch anything, as far as I know. You can intervene at any point by pressing A, I believe, and then it brings up a menu, and you can change your tactics there. You can use a card anytime. And what is it? It's 4 different tactics you can choose from or something like that, which I don't even fully know what they do, but I know one's focus on the leader, I think, and then one is focus on the weakest enemies first, and so on and so forth. It's it works. It's an auto battle type of thing. You don't really control it except for the tactics part. It's all AI based really. And then leveling up. I haven't found any experience numbers or anything in the menus anywhere, so I guess it's just hidden behind a curtain that you can't.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, there are guides online that you can look at. You should look at it, tell you how many experience points each character needs.
I didn't try doing this, but can you go back into an older scenario and just grind?
I think maybe because
that's pretty cool.
So you can have you can have a total of 5 units on your side, in the map, and the enemy has the same restriction. The combat system, I have both pluses and minuses with the combat system. I do like the fact how it's. I do like the I do like the fact how you can do tactics. I do wish you had the ability, however, to be able to set individual commands for certain characters. I wish the game offered you a bit more control over the actual combat, over the flow of combat itself.
If anything, just control over your character, because your
yourself,
first unit is the leader is your character.
Right.
Yeah.
So, on the plus side, though, combat does flow pretty quickly. I mean, these battles usually are not overly long, except for the boss fights. There are boss fights. There are boss fights in this game every now and then. And those guys, oh boy, they will give you a fit. But
did you happen to look up what those card choices at the beginning do to your character? Because the way that my character worked was that a lot of his attacks were like magic fireball type things. I don't know if that was yours too, or
right. Yeah. Mine was very similar.
Okay.
I do know the answers. The answers to those questions. Determine your starting abilities, abilities and starting units.
Right.
But and again, there are guides online that tell you what to answer to be able to get this or that combo. So there's a lot of this is also this is also like a pro or con if anybody look at it. There's a lot going on behind the scenes here which the game doesn't explain to you. It's not given to you in the screen. It's not given to you in the manual. There's a lot of guessing to figure out what's going on with this stuff. So, I mean, I kind of feel it's good for the most part, but there are times where I'm like, why is it working this way? What's going on here? What do I need to do to be able to do this or that or whatnot? Yeah. So, I mean, not having all that information. I mean, because again, this game cart was already like a pretty good size. There was limitations to how much they could pack at the memory of the cart. So again, I think it's one reason games this type usually didn't come out on consoles during this time period when computers offer so much more power and support to be able to explain things like that. But I do like some mystery. I mean, you don't need to have everything explained to you. You can figure out most stuff here before too long. I definitely recommend reading the manual first before playing this game, because
I don't have one.
Yeah, well, again, you can find that pretty easily online. So the manual does help immensely explain the tarot cards and some of the systems and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, again, I appreciate the fact what the developers are trying to aim for here. For its time period, 1995, this combat system was very, very revolutionary because they're trying a lot of cool concepts and ideas, which would get refined, and added onto and made better in later games in later years. So I definitely appreciate everything that they're trying for. Was it a huge, was it a unmitigated success? No, but like you said, after a few bad hours, I get the hang of it. I get used to it.
I'm looking up the choices you have at the beginning of the game. Holy crap!
There's a lot.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, and yeah, this game's packed with a lot of stuff. There are a lot of units in this game, both characters that you can recruit, and also characters that you fight against. The world's very big. A lot of stages, a lot there's towns, temples, dungeons, whatever. The alignment system is pretty complex, just like this time period. There's 25 main stages in the game altogether. The gameplay is broken into stages. And each stage has an objective for you to do and a boss to beat.
Sounds like a video game.
Yeah, well, there is some. It's kind of there's some variation like in how you go about doing them. So there is some limited open world aspect to how you go about doing things. But the game does give you so the game doesn't hold your hand, but the game does give you a very clear objective, which is probably what you need to do next to advance the game and the plot. There's also four hidden stages that you can access the game by doing certain actions by playing the game, and this finally the fifth one available was an Easter egg. The game can be finished without doing all the stages, which I would find curious. And as you mentioned before, there are 13 endings possible in this game. This game has some length to it. I mean, the average playing time of this game was about 40-50 hours. It looks like.
Wow, that's pretty big for a game like this.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a speedrun available online where somebody's able to get through the whole game in just over 2 hours.
I might need to go watch that.
It's probably pretty impressive.
I wonder if there's any big game-breaking bugs.
I don't know about that. There are some cheat codes and whatnot that you can use in this game, which I'll talk about here later on. But and this is even scarier. The guy who did the speed run, he only uploaded this about 7 months ago. Oh. He thinks with some practice he can get the game below 2 hours.
Oh wow.
So he thinks he can do better.
That's insane.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy 4 and 6 and Chrono Trigger also had and Earthbound also had this much playtime available to it also. But again, I'm sorry to keep saying this, but it's true. For a game of this time period, a strategy tactics game of this time period, to have this much gameplay to it is very, very unique.
Especially on a console.
Especially on a console, yes. So XCOM and Jagged Alliance did not have this much gameplay time to them. And again, the story I think is one reason. The story I think is one reason that one reason the gameplay can drag out for so long. Especially also, like I said, some of the stages are optional.
Right.
This is a pretty long game. I've not beaten it yet. I do intend to go in here later on and finish it up, but
I gotta play more of this.
So, what do you think about the class system, George?
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's like, it's not even around this time. I don't even think like other games really had crazy stuff like this, but aren't there
Not
like
many.
werewolves and stuff like that?
Right, because the classes your character can do is depending upon his race, like her race, but there are a ton of classes.
Yeah.
There's like dragons, worms, pumpkins, angels, giants, hellhounds, octopuses, hawkmen, demons, griffins, mermaids, golems, undead, etc., etc. The two human classes have very different trees, so whatnot. Yeah, there's a lot going on behind. There's a lot going on like under the hood in this game. And that also kind of relates to the gameplay itself because this is a tough game. This is no cakewalk game.
I do like cake.
I got killed. Yes, so do I. But I got killed several times in battles, especially like boss fights.
I lost because I couldn't figure out how to bring my units out, and then when I did, the enemy just waltzed right into my base and took it over.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, that's kind of how you lose.
Yeah, so the difficulty scale for this game is pretty high. Again, if you're used to playing games of this ilk on computers, then you were used to the difficulty of these games to compare these games, because usually strategy tactical games of this type started off pretty difficult, so and slowly got easier like as it went on.
If this was on PC, it would be probably much harder.
Oh yeah, but it's plenty hard as it is now.
Yeah.
This is probably the hardest. There are other strategy games available on the Super NES. This is probably the hardest one in the system I played.
I think Populous was actually kind of easy. That might just be me though.
Depends upon the map. Because Populous is like Populous has over 1,000 maps available to it. Some of the maps are very, very, very difficult. But I cannot recommend this game if you are a newbie to the strategy tactical genre, because this game will eat you up and spit you out for lunch. This is pretty tough. Not impossible. There are harder games out there of this ilk, I think. But I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably rank this game an 8 for difficulty.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Especially if you want the best endings. The best endings in this game are super hard to do. So. If you want, there's no shame in looking at a guide while I play this game. I think because like George said earlier, how you create your character to start the game is very complex. So looking at a guide to figure out how best to get started, what to do, what things are optional, what things are not. I don't see any harm in looking at one of those to help help your gameplay experience.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really a guides type of person. Maybe like after I beat the game or something. I don't know. But
for those of you who do like the genre, And I played games like this before, or later games in the series, because this game was the least popular of the game in the franchise for reasons we'll talk about later on. But yeah, if you have any kind of familiarity with this, it still plays pretty well. I mean, there are some rough spots for sure. There are some difficulties, but like I said, for a game its time. I think the game's aged. I think the game's aged pretty well over the years. It's clunky, but it is playable. You definitely can have a lot of fun playing this, both because of the pretty unique and in-depth story, and also the gameplay itself.
I think so, yeah.
So anyway, we talked about later. We talked about the fact that the game was remade on the Saturn and PlayStation. The Saturn version of the game only came out in Japan only. But the PlayStation version of the game was included with the second game of this. PlayStation version of the game was included along with the third game of the series. Let Us Cling Together. Again, these names are kind of strange, but it was released as Ogre Battle Limited Edition. The main enhancements to the PlayStation version of the game is better battle graphics, because obvious hardware obviously more powerful than Super NES was. New spell effects, shifting camera angles, larger text boxes. It also included a third graphical viewpoint on the map. Thank God for that. So, letting you have more direct overhead view. So that version of the game is easier to get than this version of the game is, but it's still kind of expensive. $50 used on up is common for Ogre Battle Limited Edition.
That's not too bad.
No. This game is currently available on Virtual Console, but if you want it, get it soon because while this game was released on all three systems, the Wii, the Wii U, and the 3DS Virtual Console system, the only one that came out in North America was the Wii version. So. And George telling me off mic that the Wii Virtual Store could be taken down next year. So
yes, December next year, I believe.
Yeah. So this game is currently available for cheaper than the Super NES version of the game is. But if you want it, you better grab it soon. And again, in Japan only, this game is also released on phones. So, a lot of Japanese-only versions like this game floating around out there, which is no shock because the franchise has always been more popular in Japan than here in North America.
Yeah.
But the game reviewed very well when it came out over here. In the States. Really the only complaints that they had of the game. We just thought difficult the game was. Some of the reviewers also complained about the war simulation being a bit tedious. Not having being able like I said like we talked about before, you can't directly control the battle. You have to do things like the tactics involved. So, but and the overall clunky camera angles for the battle system and also for the world map, which is all true. Those are all valid complaints. So, but even today, the average rating of this game is 4 stars out of 5. So it's still rated very, very favorably.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So as I said before, this is the first game in the franchise. The second game also came out on the Super NES, but in Japan only, unfortunately. That game was Let Us Cling Together. The aforementioned game that I mentioned got re-released with this game later on for PlayStation. That came out in 1995 in Japan. Then there was Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. What the hell are these names?
I don't even know.
I played this game briefly when it came out. It's pretty good. I mean, like, this is definitely, this is definitely a handful, one of the handful of games that's worth owning. That's worth owning like an N64. I think, like, on the Android games like this type. It's a pretty good game. You never played this version of the Ogre Battle 64, have you, George?
No.
Then there was also Legend of Ogre Battle Gaiden, Prince of Zambia, which is kind of more similar like the original game, like the franchise. That came out for the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That was definitely a Japan only game.
Oh man, really?
Yeah.
Ah.
And then the last game in this series, 2001, came out for the DS. That was a Tactics Ogre, Tactics Ogre: The Night of Lotus, which I hear is a good game. I've not played that one myself yet. Atlas published that game, and we all know Atlas does incredibly small print runs. So that game's worth a pretty penny today.
Hate when they do that.
Yep. Yeah, most of the games in this franchise are pretty expensive if you want to buy the original one. So there's not been a new game in the franchise since 2001, but in 2010, Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together was remade for the PSP, and that version of the game did come out in the US. So we had that at least. And in case you're wondering, I found this curious. The name of the game was inspired by the song Ogre Battle by Queen from 1974.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That was not even the thought process here. I did not think of that.
One of the developers was a fan of. Yeah, one of the developers was a fan of the band. So.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, also, I still think the titles of the North American version of the games are strange and don't roll off the tongue very easily. But they were also inspired by songs, inspired by the names of songs that Queen did.
Really?
Yeah. So.
What? Why?
Because they like the band, I guess.
I guess.
So there are a few codes to this game. There's a level, there's a you can access the bonus stage by putting in a code, like a password, and there's also a password you can enter, like your character name. Gives you extra ability starting out the game, just to make the game a bit easier. This game did not sell very well for a few reasons. One of the factors that we talked about before, games of this type just did not come out on consoles during this time period, so a lot of people overlooked it. Also by this time, 1995, Enix America was having severe financial difficulties. Enix North American operations had not done very well for several years before this. Many of their games are quite original and quite well thought of these days, such as EVO is a very unique fun game we should cover some point.
That is a cool game.
But they were under pretty bad financial straits. This was their last game that Enix published in North America before they shut down their North American operations. And Enix games would not come out in North America again until after Square Enix was formed. The combination of those two factors resulted in a very small print run, perhaps the very smallest print run for any regular released Super NES game in North America. 25,000 copies. That was it.
What?
That's it. That's all they. That's all they made.
Really?
So yep. So this game. So accordingly, this game is very, very expensive. Very expensive to get these days.
Yeah.
So
that's a shame.
Yeah, unfortunately. So let's talk about pricing here as it is, because this is another game. To follow up some games we talked about in recent episodes, where like repros of the game are commonly available. So the same. It's like the same, like, buyer beware warning goes out to you, like, when you get a physical copy of this game.
Buyer beware, you're in for a scare.
Yeah, so just be careful. I mean, like, like I said before, I don't mind repros because, like, some people just want to play the game on physical hardware, but these auctions don't always explain very clearly that it's a repro. So
well, you could always get one of those like flashcard things.
True. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but and like I said, this game is still available. This game is still available on the Wii Virtual Console if you want to get it that way for a bit longer too. But repros for this game, card only, are not that bad for price. You can if you don't mind getting a repro, you can have one of those shipping included for anywhere between $23 to $45. So it's like,
That's not
it's
too bad.
No, it's not bad. By the way, this game is somewhat uncommon on eBay, but the game is out there. 27 copies of the game, like, recently, are currently listed, and 57 copies of the game that recently sold. There's also the PlayStation remake of this game too, also, which, like I said, didn't really change all that much. Changed the core gameplay is still fine for both versions of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, card only, like real examples. Wild variation in price. There was one lowball example that's over $50. There was one very expensive copy of the game that's over $143. Most of them average $100.
Oh, jeez.
You would get the game, like, physically. So.
Oh man, that's a shame. I would really like to get this game.
Yeah, CIB is even, like, more expensive. The price on that ranges hugely, anywhere from $128 to $325.
No, too much.
I can only imagine like a sealed copy that would go for.
Oh no, it'd be like $1,000 or something. Oh my god.
If I had to guess, I'd say around that price range.
Yeah.
But, So $50. When the PlayStation version of the game goes that same price too, I'm almost tempted to say just get the PlayStation version. The PlayStation version of the game is probably the better one to get.
Maybe. I mean, on top of, like, you don't have to worry about saving stuff.
True. I mean, like, so
yeah.
But like repro copies, $25 is not, like, too bad for this. So I mean, like, I don't care about I care about it. So, so like these, like I said, most games in this franchise tend to hold their value, like, pretty well. I mean they're they're all, like, pretty pricey. So I mean, like, I totally did not know about the connection with the developers between, like, this game and Final Fantasy Tactics. Now that I play this game, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally can see that. It makes a lot of sense. It's like they use the Ogre Backer series. I think it's kind of like a test ground for the ideas and content and the story they wanted to tell, which they turned into the ultimate perfection with Final Fantasy Tactics.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy Tactics is better than this game, I think. But then of course Final Fantasy Tactics is just like one of the best best video games of all time. So that's a very, like, high bar to set. But for what it is, Ogre Battle itself is, like, still, like, a lot of fun. The story is more complex and deeper than I expected. Especially especially for Super NES game of its time period. It's a very good story. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I think this game holds up pretty well today. Once you get used to the clunky battle system and the camera angles, if you enjoy games of this type and can get over the high difficulty level, you can have a lot of fun in here. 40-50 hours. It's not required. It's not required you put that much time in the game. There are stages of the game you can skip, like I said before. But this is a very meaty, in-depth, very ahead of its time tactical RPG game that I kind of wish I had played when it first came out, because I probably would I loved it. Now it's still a fun game, not as good now as I think it was when it came out, but still very fun, unique game. Definitely recommend it for anybody out there who's played games of this type.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that.
Did you have any big things you loved or hated about this for this game overall?
I hated how little it told you about things.
Yeah.
I guess isn't.
Yeah, that's why I advised. A guide's not bad to look at, just like this game.
Yeah, I guess.
How about?
I mean, it's just when I'm on the second level or whatever, and I lost because of something stupid, oh, this guy just hop, skipped, and jumped right into my base, and that's it, game over. It's but honestly, I think that was the only problem I really had. Other than that, it's a great game. It's fun and definitely worth seeking out if you want to play it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this franchise. This franchise did not get much coverage or do as well in North America as it did in Japan. So, I think a lot of these games franchise are probably overlooked. I'd have to, it makes me want to go back and play some of the other games in the series too. I did play PlayStation. Like I said before, I played PlayStation version of this game briefly, and I liked it. I just didn't. I just never got too far into it for one reason or another. Maybe because of college or grad school or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But one last curious thing about this. They kind of did a Star Wars thing with this game. This game, even though it's the first game in the franchise, it's called Episode 5.
What?
Yeah, right in the opening of the game.
Oh, great.
I think some of the other games of the franchise do take place before this game does, so they give themselves the wiggle room to be able to say prequels. So,
yeah.
But yeah, very fun game. It's a shame, the game is so expensive. I probably would recommend the PlayStation version of this game, only because of the fact that there's a few more bells and whistles on playing that version of the game, and you're actually getting two games for one in that collection. And like George mentioned, the save features that version of the game has. But if you, you won't really miss out too much by playing the original Super NES version of the game, because all they did the PlayStation version of the game was adding the extra graphical effects and camera angle and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's fine playing the Super NES, but $50 PlayStation game is kind of expensive, but not super bad. I mean, it's cheaper. It's certainly cheaper than the Super NES version of the game is.
I don't know. How much can you find for a copy of Superbad?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You blindsided me with that question. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah. But so anyway, thanks again for bringing this game to my attention, George. I'm definitely going to finish this game up at some point. Like I said, I kind of wish I played it back when it first came out, because I think I would have loved it back then. It's still a good game now. I think I would have liked it even more back then. Now in 2017, I can just play and appreciate it. All the unique and cool things this game was doing ahead of its time and whatnot. So.
Yep.
So anyway, we are going to be looking at so the next game we're looking at on this podcast, it's like it's gonna be much more like lighter and easier game to wrap around. Thank God. Motivated by a current discussion that that had somebody recently. We're going to be looking at we're going to be covering the Super NES version of probably, in my opinion, one of the best arcade arcade games of all time, and definitely one of the few sports games out there that can be liked and enjoyed by non-sports sports fans. We're going to be looking at Super NES port of NBA Jam.
Oh boy.
Which is like a really fun game. I definitely spend a lot. Definitely dropped a lot of quarters like in the arcade version of this game. So I've not played the Super NES version of this game for a long time. So I'm curious to see how it holds up today.
We'll see.
Yes, we will. So I also finally want to make. I probably should put this. I probably should have include this like the beginning of the episode, but I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. I just actually got here at the end. I also want to make a small correction / addition / update to one of the games we covered last time, like Paperboy 2. I was talking to a Jim Goebel of the Slightly Awesome Pie Factory podcast, which I highly recommend. Out there, enjoy classic arcade games. About this game, its original game, Paperboy. I probably didn't clarify this as clearly as I could have. So I just wanted to touch upon this real quick to add on to it. Both Paperboy 2 and Paperboy, the original game, have 3 streets. Easy Street, Middle Road, and Hard Way. I was kind of thinking of it as terms like stages, though, because, I kind of think, in my mind, the streets and stages I kind of became the same, one and the same, especially since Paperboy 2 handles it a bit differently. But both games still have 3 streets in them. They still have the streets are still named the same, and each street is, and the names of the streets do imply the overall difficulty. Play those streets. The main difference between the two games is that the Paperboy only has one stage in it. It only has one map to the game. I suppose you could put it that way. Where all the houses and all the obstacles and the decorations and whatnot are laid out the same way, regardless of what street you're on. In Paperboy 2, you get a different stage for every street. So the map for each street is different than the map for Middle Road. The map for Middle Road is different than this for Hard Way. So I just wanted to clarify that because you asked me about it on Facebook. So I just wanted to explain that a bit better in case it wasn't clear enough on our episode. But anyway, so thank you again for listening to this podcast. We always very much appreciate it. If you have any feedback, questions, game suggestions, whatever, you can leave them on our Facebook page. Or you can also email me directly if you want to at the SNES podcast at yahoo.com. We are a proud member of both the Throwback Network and Retro Junkies. We give out a whole bunch of other great retro-themed podcasts, both gaming and non-gaming related. And we're also a proud member of iTunes, so please feel free to check us out on there and give us a review on there. And George and I also do another podcast together, and so I'll let George talk about that since I've been talking for a while.
Oh boy, we do PlayStation Power, and nobody should listen to it. No, that's a joke. But maybe
our last episode they really should listen to it.
Maybe children shouldn't listen to it. I'll tell you that much.
No, it's not family friendly, but
what's that?
But no, it's not family friendly. But our last podcast, we had Tim and Andy from Pie Factory Podcast joining.
Not Pie Factory.
No, you're right. Sorry about that. I'm drawing a blank on their podcast
Super
right now.
Podcast Bros.
Thank you. Yeah, we had them joining us to talk about our favorite PlayStation games that we covered over the 2 years of the podcast.
Yes.
So definitely, so great episode. Definitely check. Definitely check that one out.
We talk about Walt Disney.
Yes, we do.
And that's all I'm going to say on this podcast. But I also do Master System Masterpieces. Yay.
Which has been putting out some very good stuff recently.
Hey, thanks.
But so anyway, we always appreciate your support. Thank you again for checking out the podcast. And we're always open to game suggestions. If you have anything that you'd like to have covered, please let us know. Like either way, we are hoping to have some more guest hosts coming on the podcast in a month or two. So stay tuned for that. And pretty soon, George, we're going to be episode of. Pretty soon, George, before anyone knows it, we're going to be at episode 100. So we're going to have to have a special like that episode.
Oh, geez.
I don't know yet. I haven't thought about it yet, but something special. So anyway, thank you again, everybody, for listening. We appreciate your support very much, and take care, all.
I'm an ogre. Roar.
Battle, 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 battle.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man. Now you're playing with power. Deep of power.